Alright, hello everybody. We're into the month of May, and the weather is also finally starting to catch up with us, so let's stay inside and talk about video games and everything. It's just these two stacks here for the most part, and it's kind of a smaller thing that I've had past couple months, but that's honestly a good thing to me right now. I've definitely been keeping myself busy regardless of that. So, anyway, let's just get started with the thing that I usually start off with in new Switch games, which I have surprisingly 3 of this month, and even more surprising is I've really not played any of these very much. So it is kind of surprising because I've been actually busying myself with a couple of digital games, including Saturday Morning RPG, which I'm playing right now, and definitely going to get on limited run when they put up that pre-order, whenever it is. I have 2 of the 3 limited and run pre-orders that they've done so far already, whenever they come. So the 3 Switch games I got is basically I went into Best Buy looking for one game in particular that I got not even at Best Buy that I'll show later on, and they ended up getting me with the Rayman, which I've now bought 3 times. I think this is the 3rd time I bought Rayman Legends, and it's for the Switch now. Definitive edition and everything. I've played it before. I actually beat it on the Wii U just a couple months ago, but it is one of the best platformers I've ever played, especially 2D platformers, and so I had to have it again for $20 minus your Best Buy, so it was like $17. Good price, and because I played it a couple months ago, I haven't really played it, even though I did open it and play a couple levels. Another one which I have not played at all, but just because I wanted to get make sure I caught up with the Nicalis stuff, is Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap, which is a remake of a Master System game, Wonder Boy 3, I believe. Has all the typical Nicalis stuff in here. It's got a nice manual and a nice little mini disc soundtrack sampler thing. Like I said, I haven't played it because I've been doing other stuff, but I just wanted to get the Nicalis. I'm not going to be able to keep up with all the Nicalis stuff because there's one game, I think Blade Strangers, that I'm not really interested in. So it'll be a while before I get that, if I ever do. And then finally, I actually was thinking about buying this on PS4 a couple months ago, and I was like, I think that's coming to the Switch. And so this Max the Curse of Brotherhood, which I didn't realize until I started playing it, it is actually a sequel to a game that came out like 6 years ago, Max of the Magic Marker, which I intend on picking up, and so far it's alright. It actually reminds me a lot of Heart of Darkness on the PS1, just in the way that the animation is and the way you can die a lot of different ways and everything, but they don't really punish you too hard. So it's kind of cool. I played a little bit of that, but I got kind of sidetracked with other stuff like Saturday Morning RPG, so those are Switch games. 3-game month, and I haven't really played any of them that much, so the backlog is starting to become a thing on the Switch. Was alright. And keep going with Nintendo stuff right here. So I got 2 DS games, one loose, one not loose. Arkanoid DS, which I think I grabbed online for like $9 or something like that. Complete was the important thing about it. I love Arkanoid. So yeah, anything Arkanoid. It'll be a good control scheme on the DS too, I assume. And then this other one, which I didn't pay like $2 for. This is one of the UFO budget titles that they put out on the DS. This is Devilish, and what this is, I believe, a port of a weird sort of pinball-y game on the Genesis. It's not supposed to be that great or anything, but for like $2, I was like, you know what, that's interesting to me. It's a Genesis port. Actually, one NES game that I think I got for like $5, and I actually picked up this copy of Bart vs. the Space Mutants, and I find the Bart vs. the Space Mutants, which is cheaper on the NES, to be the more kind of typical, iconic version of it. So I was like, you know what, they're kind of the same game on NES and Genesis, and I had the Genesis version. So I grabbed this, and I'm going to get rid of my Genesis one. And it's cool to add another Nintendo game in there. So, one NES game. Never get cartridge stuff anymore, because I'm not playing it. Finish Nintendo stuff. 2 Wii games. Need for Speed Undercover, which is just adding another Need for Speed game that I probably won't play for a long time, but just it's like Undercover is like a secret agent, like undercover, not secret agent, but like undercover cop kind of storyline. So like I'm interested in these games for the storylines that they started putting in later. So I got that, and it's supposed to be decent on the Wii and everything. It's on PS2 and PSP, so I mean, they can't really do that bad with it. And then this game I actually wanted for a long time, Marble Saga Kororinpa, which is sort of like a Marble Madness, but just like with crazy, awesome level design and environments. It's done by Hudson. This is actually the sequel to a really early Wii game that is now really hard to find and pretty expensive called Marble Mania Kororinpa, so this is the second one. And I got this. I finally grabbed this for like $10-ish, which I'd been wanting to do for a while. And then Marble Mania is like a $25, $30 game right now, so I don't know if I'll ever get that. But I'm just glad to have one of them because I always wanted. I was like, this looks ridiculous, great game. Cool stuff, the kind of thing I like. And I have 2 GameCube games. The first, actually, both of them came from the same place. It's a couple, like last week, actually, I saw GameStop was doing their buy 2 get 1 free sale on the retro stuff. So I was like, alright, I'll take a look, because sometimes they price that stuff weirdly cheap. Last month, I got the Stubbs the Zombie for $20, which is not a $20 game by any means. And it was beautiful, complete and everything, because it was in a store. But yeah, it was buy 2 get 1 free on the GameCube stuff, or any retro stuff. So I grabbed Mario Power Tennis, which they have really cheap. They actually, if you look at their Wii port price on it, it's like more than the Wii version goes for, and it's, to me, is the lesser version of the game. So they have the GameCube version of Mario Power Tennis, which is one of the 2 GameCube Mario sports games I didn't have. I still don't have Strikers, and it's my one I'd be least interested in anyway. I have a lot more memories of Strikers Charged anyway. But yeah, Mario Tennis. I'm excited for Mario Tennis Aces coming up next month, or I think next month. And yeah, so I got Mario Power Tennis for really cheap. And basically what you do with ordering GameStop online is like, it was cheap enough when I figured out all the stuff I was going to throw in my cart to be like, I'll take the gamble and whatever comes loose, comes loose. It was like $40 for like some pretty good stuff. So 3 of the games came with their cases at the very least. One of them had the case and the manual. And this was one of the other games. This is the other GameCube game I got, which I don't have. Of the 4 GameCube WWE games, I only have WrestleMania 19 because it's ridiculous. And I actually printed a case for that one too when I got it too, so it'll just kind of fit in the theme. So I got Day of Reckoning too because it's kind of supposed to be like the best one. X8 isn't that great. The Day of Reckoning games are supposed to be really good, and I have 19 because it's insane. So I got 2 GameCube games this month. I will be printing. I literally got them like 2 days ago, so I plan on printing cases if I can. But yeah, I also, on that note, I got 2 Dreamcast games. These both came from that same GameStop sale. These were both really cheap for what the what the Dreamcast versions of these games go for. This one obviously is a Dreamcast only. This is Heavy Metal Geomatrix, which is based on the comics, which I know nothing about, of course. And it's like an arena fighter, not quite like Power Stone, but it's weird to have Arena Fighter Capcom on the Dreamcast from an arcade port with some like crazy characters and everything like that. And this is not a very common game, so I was like, this was like $20. I was like, if that comes disc only, I'll be fine with it, because it's not a cheap game, honestly. And luckily, Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, which is not the best game of its style, but I always wanted to play it. This came with the case, which I was really glad about, and it has the manual in it too. I was very happy just to get this complete and have this be the one that came complete, because it's a 2-disc game, and the more discs you have, the more weird I feel about it. I don't have these just like laying around. I just got them out for the video. I have cases and disc wallets and stuff. So there's that. And weird, I got a lot of Xbox. Original Xbox was a game system I got a lot of games for. I only got one 360 game, and this was really cool because I got this off Declutter. This has been, at least $10 to $15, which is about what you'd pay for the PS2 versions of the games individually. but I was like $4.91 or something like that. I was like, I'll do this to save some space on my shelf, and I'll probably get rid of my trilogy, my trilogy with the outer sleeve that I had on PS2, which I really liked, but takes up a lot of room. And this came sealed and everything, and it's not really worth, selling again just because I got it sealed. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, play the HD versions, have this, and be able to get rid of the one with the sleeve and everything. So that was the main reason I bought this, was because it was finally like I had the chance to get it for really cheap. So I went for it, and I was like, cool, if, I'll throw that on the shelf. And then it was like, okay, I'll keep this one for sure. Weirdly, a lot of original Xbox games. I don't play original Xbox very much, but here we are with a couple games that either were exclusives or just I weirdly came upon them in that form. This Alter Echo, which is sort of like action-adventure game from THQ, like very, very PS2 original Xbox title. I mostly like it because the cover is shiny. It always has that allure to it, like, oh, that looks really good on the shelf, I'm going to grab that. And I got this for, finally found it for pretty cheap on Declutter Store, of course. So I was like, yeah, give me that one. And then I look again later, and they have the PS2 version, which I'd rather have, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not buying the game again. I wish I'd waited, but it was like the same price. So Alter Echo has okay reviews, but has the added allure of being like, oh, that's an interesting looking cover it has with the holographic like cover thing. So that's cool. This was one of the games I got off GameStop. This was like $10, and I'm really glad it came with the case. Land of the Dead, Road to Fiddler's Green, prequel to the I've heard crappy movie from the Dawn of the Dead series, or whatever it is, the George A. Romero series, basically. This is like a first-person shooter. It looks really cool. Kind of an uncommon Xbox title, and was exclusive. I believe exclusive to Xbox PC. So definitely grab that. It was like, man, I hope there's a case, but no big deal. And it had a case. So this is a weird one to have to buy online, but I realize I never ever see it. But this is from the only year that Microsoft tried to do a baseball game. They had decent success with the Xbox Sports Network games for NFL Fever and for NBA Inside Drive, but I have this weird obsession with that series of games that they did. Kind of the same way I will like defend to the death like how good the Dreamcast sports games they had were, especially for how cheap they charged for them. So we got MLB Inside Pitch 2003. It's not supposed to be great or anything like that. It's just very interesting to me. I have this weird thing where I want to get at least one from each series of the Xbox Sports franchise, or at very least, I don't have NFL Fever and I don't have any NBA Inside Drive. I should have the Shaq one, obviously. But the ones that only had one version, NHL Rivals is the one I'm thinking of. Also, Lynx 2004, which are both. I was gonna say they're both great. NHL Rivals I haven't really played very much yet, but Lynx is great. I remember playing that a lot. And I have Inside Pitch, which was 2003. The other two are the 2004 series, which all have like the same cover, or the same cover design, basically. Another item, good item from Declutter Store, Driver Parallel Lines. I now have all of the first 4 Driver games, and I probably will end up getting Driver San Francisco at some point. I haven't played any of them except for the first one a little bit, and I did manage to finish the tutorial in that one, but the first one especially hasn't aged that great. You realize while you're playing it that you should just be playing Grand Theft Auto, but once you get to like Driver Parallel Lines, supposedly, it's a lot more interesting, even though it's trying to basically get back to the point that Grand Theft Auto was at that point. This one is a really interesting storyline where it takes place half in like 1976, I believe, and half in the modern day, like 2006. So you get to see like 2 types of cities, 2 arrays of cars, basically, to fit the 2 time periods. That's really cool to me. Start to have an original concept, basically, instead of just looking like Grand Theft Auto and then getting scooted right past by Grand Theft Auto. Burnout 2, I usually don't have any interest in the pre-Burnout 3 games because Burnout 3 is just the greatest. But Burnout 2 on the Xbox is actually exclusively released as this developer's cut version. And it's still supposed to be really good. It's just it gets so outdone by Burnout 3 and Burnout Paradise 2. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to have this Xbox version of it and have the developer's cut and everything and feel like I have, the best possible version. So yeah, I have this. I don't know if I'll ever play this. Or if I'll be like, yeah, Burnout, I'll probably go play Burnout 3, or Burnout Paradise, or Burnout Dominator, or any Burnout game from 3 onwards. Because I tried the first one, I never really cared for it. And then finally, for the original Xbox, I got a really good price on this one. I think the used bookstore had this for like $5, and I was like, oh yeah, absolutely, it's a slipcover game. Of course I'm going to get it. Because I'm not super huge into Dead or Alive. I have Dead or Alive 3 because of course I do. But like, Dead or Alive 1 and 2 Ultimate were re-released on the Xbox with Dead or Alive 3 and the volleyball games and everything in this pretty little slipcover thing that they made a million of, several million of it seems. It just looks kind of cool. Like I said, I'm not huge into Dead or Alive. It makes you feel kind of weird when you play it because there's so many titties bouncing all over the place, but this is a nice looking package here, so definitely cool with that. Put it next to Dead or Alive 3 and be like, yeah, I have the Dead or Alive games on Xbox. I have all of them. I have the only ones they made on the Xbox. And then we'll round it out with a couple of games from each PlayStation home console, I should say. I don't have any Vita or PSP games. Another Need for Speed game. This one's supposed to be, good. Came out, I think this would be the 4th one. I assume it came out after Hot Pursuit, so. Need for Speed High Stakes says 19 cars on the back, which is cool. Starting to get that count up in the games, which is nice. Still probably controls kind of arcadey, which is my thing. So, good stuff. Supposed to be a good entry. And then this one I'd never seen before. Not to be confused with Dragon Ball Z, this is DBZ Dead Ball Zone. Another one of many PS1 games with this futuristic handball sort of thing. I'm going to have to do a video at some point. It's going to be mostly PS1. There's going to be some other things in there a little bit. But just on the futuristic sports titles, which are games that I love to play, even though there's not that many really good ones. But this is going to be like, I'm going to have to go through all of those because, holy shit, there's so many of this exact game. There's Rage Ball, there's Pitball, there's Speedball 2100. There's so many games, man. It's ridiculous how many developers tried to do that. Move on from PS1 to PS2. This was one I grabbed real quick off of Declutter, which I feel like it probably doesn't. They probably don't get this too much, but Ico or Eco, whichever way you prefer. When I had the Ico Shadow of the Colossus collection for PS3, I bought that because I wanted Shadow of the Colossus. I was like, yeah, Ico, I'll play that at some point, and I tried to play it once, and I didn't really get into it because it's a weird game. And very abstract and everything. But I feel like you just never see this, and it was like $7. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to grab this for sure. I might never end up playing it or needing it or anything like that, but it ended up being a really nice complete. So I was like, hell yeah, that's going to look good on my shelf. Right there. Just a really nice copy of Ico. And another one that I grabbed from Declutter was Justice League Heroes, and I swear to God, I spent most of my life thinking that this game was trash, because it just looked like trash. It came out at a time when every Batman and every Superman game was just complete garbage. And so you have to look at it and assume that, like, okay, yeah, this just looks like more of the same, just horrible garbage with the DC Comics license. But then you realize that it's made by Snowblind Studios, who made Baldur's Gate, Champions of Norath, and this game supposedly has kind of a cult following for being just the diamond in the rough, basically, of this era where DC had a bunch of garbage games, and kind of a analog to X-Men Legends, basically. The character selection is nowhere near as good as X-Men Legends, as I have pored over it several times and tried to figure out who I'd actually want to play as. So Batman, Green Lantern, another Green Lantern. I saw on Wikipedia the full character list, and there's like 3 different versions of Green Lantern. Flash is in. It's just funny to me when you look at it. You go down the list, and the way that it's organized, like on Wikipedia, and I think in the manual too, is Batman, Superman, Martian Manhunter. I'm like, whoa, hold on, Martian Manhunter doesn't even get movies. So, yeah, I feel like they didn't have that much. But hey, it came out. Apparently, it's a really good game. And then this I actually got off somebody on Instagram for like $4. It was Rise of the Kasai. I had Mark of Kree, and the first time I tried to play Mark of Kree, I didn't really get that into it. I think it was just the mechanics of like not going right up to enemies and fighting them. But I've always wanted to give it another try, and then Rise of the Kasai is the sequel to it. I always think it's weird that for all of the sort of acclaim that these 2 games get, they don't have the greatest reviews on GameFAQs. They're at like 3.2, 3.3-ish. Or at least this one is for sure. But I always thought that was weird because I remember people really liked them, and they seem to be like cult favorites, and they're Sony first-party products, and Sony doesn't really do anything with this. So I don't know what the deal is with that. They have a lot more important stuff, obviously, but it's just crazy to me that, like, nobody talks about this anymore, and it's still kind of cheap, but I feel like I never see it anymore. So I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to grab that, put it with my Mark of Kree, make sure I have it. 2 PS3 games. One of them's not very exciting. This is Crysis III, which I just grabbed for a couple bucks. I have tried Crysis 2 on the 360. It's not that I don't like it. It's basically, you know, playing Far Cry, which I could never get into either. But with probably a more mission-based. Excuse me. And yeah, I always thought Crysis, when I played it, I was like, this looks gorgeous, and I really should be playing it. But I kind of never paid much attention to it, so after a little while, I was like, yeah, I played Crysis 2 for like half an hour. And I don't know why I didn't keep playing it, but yeah, Crysis 3. There's going to be more of that. So, if I ever really give Crysis a good shot again, then it'll be good to have Crysis 3. And then this one I actually wanted for a long time, and I waited and kept checking on Declutter, as usual, to get it for like $8, which is about half of what most people sell it for. Medal of Honor Airborne. Not by any stretch the greatest Medal of Honor game, but kind of the last one in the series before the reboot. And not bad by any means either, so I really, really like Medal of Honor, so I want to have those games. You know, Vanguard, like, it gets kind of messy. Heroes 2, Vanguard, and this one are kind of the forgotten entries after that original 3 that they put out on consoles. Of course, when I say I want to have all the games, obviously I'm not a PC person, so I'm not playing the original or Allied Assault, but all the other ones. And then these 2, both ones that I grabbed from... Actually, I was going to say, this one I went to Best Buy for, and I ended up going to like 3 different places because Best Buy dropped the price on this, but then no stores had it. This is Gravity Rush 2, and I have not finished the first Gravity Rush because it's on Vita, and for whatever reason with the Vita and playing this game in particular on it, it gets kind of disorienting, even though the platforming and everything, all the mechanics work out really well. And then the port of it, when Gravity Rush 2 came out, the port of Gravity Rush 1 to the PS4 got really expensive, and it's still up there. So I figure if anything, I can just jump right into this one, not have to play the weird, disorienting Vita one, or maybe get a PlayStation TV and play it that way. But yeah, for $20 is what I ended up getting it for, because I had to go to not Best Buy to get it. But it got price matched and everything, so Gravity Rush 2 at $20 was a good price. And also, speaking of, I just got Ico, and now I have the Last Guardian, which actually, it was weird because this got price dropped too at Best Buy. I grabbed this one, paid $17 for it with, you know, the tax, Massachusetts tax, and I had in my mind that this game wasn't very good. And what I realized when I was thinking about getting it, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Best Buy. This is all the price drops they just got, because I saw it on Cheap Ass Gamer. I looked at them and I was like, well, Last Guardian. Like, Last Guardian's dropped in price, but it dropped in price over like 2 years, so it was kind of not a shocking price drop. And I checked the reviews on it again, and basically what it was is it's just not as good as the other two Team Ico games. It's not bad at all. So I'm actually really looking forward to playing it, even though I haven't opened it and everything. But it's like, when you say this game is bad, it's bad by comparison to two of the pretty much greatest games of all time. One of the greatest games of all time, Shadow of the Colossus, but for sure. And then Ico, which is a little bit more divisive from what I've seen, including myself. I never really got into it when I tried to play it. But this game, I feel like I'd probably be able to get into it off the bat and then make a judgment for myself. So, yeah. Last Guardian. I will definitely play that sometime. And that's it. It's kind of a short video here. I spent a little bit longer talking about the games than I thought I would. But, I'll be on later today to stream some more Buck Bumble on Twitch, and then I'll come over here to YouTube. I'm really having fun with that. And that's it. That's what I have to do for today. Thanks for watching. See ya.